Imagine you wake up. It's a Tuesday or a Friday. It doesn't matter. The sun angles through the blinds in that familiar, gentle way it does, striping the far wall in dusty gold. The smell of coffee is already in the air, a dark, rich promise. Beside you, the person you love breathes softly in their sleep, a rhythm as ingrained in your subconscious as your own heartbeat. Everything is precisely as it should be. It is a perfect, ordinary moment of domestic peace, the kind of quiet security our entire civilization seems engineered to achieve. And yet, you feel a profound and terrifying stillness. A silence not of peace, but of absence. You watch them sleep, tracing the lines of their face with your eyes, a face more familiar than your own reflection. You know their stories, their scars, their favorite movies, the specific idiosyncratic way they laugh when they think no one is watching. You have memorized this person, meticulously. But do you know them? In that instant, a chasm opens. It's the kind of internal abyss that can swallow a life whole. The love you feel is real. You're sure of it. The history is real. The shared jokes, the arguments, the quiet consolations in the middle of the night, they all happened. But a new, colder thought surfaces, unbidden and unwelcome. What if it's all just a script? A beautiful, intricate, and deeply comforting script you have both learned to perform with flawless precision. What if you are not two souls intertwined, but two actors who have become so lost in their roles that they've forgotten the person behind the mask? You get up, pour your coffee, and the performance continues. The morning pleasantries, the discussion of the day's logistics, each line delivered perfectly. But the feeling lingers, a low hum of existential dread beneath the surface of the mundane. You scroll through your phone and see 100 other couples, 1,000 other love stories, all packaged and presented in glowing two-dimensional squares. A curated reality of anniversaries, surprise getaways, and smiling selfies, captioned with declarations of eternal devotion. We are drowning in evidence of connection, a deluge of digital proof that love is not only possible, but abundant. And yet, has there ever been a time when we felt more profoundly alone, even in the arms of another? This is the great, unspoken paradox of our age. We have built a world of infinite accessibility but finite depth. We have engineered 1,000 ways to say, "I'm here," without ever truly showing up. We swipe right on a potential future. We build relationships on a foundation of text messages and curated profiles, carefully constructing a representative of ourselves to send into the emotional wilderness. We fall in love with a ghost, with a data-driven approximation of a person, and we wonder why, in the quiet moments when the screens are dark, we feel the chill of an empty room. We wonder why the person sleeping next to us can sometimes feel like a stranger we've only read about. Could it be that the very tools we created to bring us closer are, in fact, the architects of a new and devastating form of isolation? Are they teaching us to love the idea of a person more than the messy, difficult, and gloriously imperfect human being that stands before us? We chase a feeling, an ideal sold to us in films and songs, and we assemble a life that looks the part. But what happens when the applause dies down? What do we do when we are left alone on the stage, the lights have dimmed, and we have to face the person with whom we've chosen to share the silence? The most uncomfortable truth about modern relationships isn't that they fail. It's that they succeed in becoming perfect illusions, distracting us from the terrifying, exhilarating work of genuine human connection. This feeling, this quiet dread you sense in the morning light, isn't your personal failure. It's a symptom, a tremor from a deep, seismic fault line that runs beneath the very foundation of our world. And to understand it, we must first dare to look into the darkness it reveals. That deep, seismic fault line you feel running beneath the perfect morning, it has a name. It is the erosion of the authentic self. This isn't a new phenomenon, but it has reached a terrifying new velocity in our hyper-modern world. The disquiet you feel isn't a sign that your love is fraudulent. It is a sign that you might be. We have, slowly and collectively, become strangers to ourselves, and so we cannot help but be strangers to each other. The root of this hollowness isn't technological or even social, it's philosophical. We have forgotten what it means to simply be. The French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre would have recognized the terror in your quiet kitchen. He spoke of the gaze of the other, the moment we become aware that someone is watching us, and we cease to be a pure, free consciousness, and instead become an object in their world. In that moment, we adjust, we perform, we become self-conscious. Historically, this gaze was limited, the people in our village, our family, our immediate community. But today, we live under the relentless, unblinking eye of a global digital gaze. Every moment is a potential post, every thought a potential tweet, every relationship a story to be packaged and presented for public consumption. We have internalized this gaze so deeply that we are now our own wardens, constantly curating our lives, our thoughts, and even our love, ensuring they are presentable, palatable, and worthy of a like. Our identity is no longer something we discover, it's something we construct and broadcast. We are the curators of our own personal brands, and our relationships have become our flagship exhibits. This is the nightmare Søren Kierkegaard, the great Danish thinker, foresaw. He warned of the peril of becoming lost in the crowd, of allowing the abstract they to dictate who we are. To be an authentic individual, for Kierkegaard, required a terrifying leap of faith, a commitment to a self that exists beyond public opinion. Yet, we have done the opposite. We have surrendered to the crowd. We have traded the difficult, messy work of self-discovery for the easy comfort of a pre-approved identity. We are the adventurous couple, the intellectual partners, the power duo. These are not descriptions, they are costumes. And we cling to them because we are terrified of the silence that would fall if we were to ever take them off. We are in a state of what Sartre called bad faith, a profound self-deception where we pretend we don't have a choice, that we are simply the sum of our roles and responsibilities. It's easier to be a boyfriend than a man, easier to be a wife than a woman, because the role has a script, but the person is terrifyingly free. This relentless performance creates another, more insidious problem, one diagnosed by the contemporary philosopher Byung-Chul Han. In our desperate pursuit of a smooth, frictionless, positive life, we have begun to systematically eliminate the other. Not the person, but their otherness, their radical, inconvenient, and beautiful difference from us. Love, in its classical erotic sense, is an encounter with this otherness. It is the thrill and terror of confronting a universe that is not you. But our modern world of achievement and optimization cannot tolerate this friction. We are encouraged to find partners who share our interests, our politics, our consumer habits, someone who validates our own existence. Dating apps are the perfect engine for this process, reducing people to a checklist of positive marketable attributes. We swipe away imperfection. We ghost at the first sign of difficulty. We filter out negativity. We don't want a partner anymore. We want a mirror. Han calls this the hell of the same. We surround ourselves with pleasing reflections of our own ego, and in doing so, we eradicate the very possibility of eros, of passion, of the transformative power of loving someone who is not us. The person beside you in bed is no longer a sovereign mystery to be explored, but a resource to be managed for maximum happiness and minimum disruption. This transforms the very nature of commitment into what the sociologist Zygmunt Bauman termed liquid love. In our liquid modernity, everything is temporary, flexible, and disposable, including our relationships. We approach love with the mind of a consumer, perpetually weighing the costs and benefits. Is this person fulfilling my needs? Am I getting a good return on my emotional investment? This transactional logic is the ultimate poison. It makes true vulnerability impossible. Why would you surrender yourself completely to something you might trade in next year for a better model? This isn't your fault. It is the air we breathe, the logic of the market applied to the soul. We are taught to be savvy investors in our own lives, but love is not an investment. It is a surrender. It is a blind, irrational, and beautiful leap into the void. And this culture has taught us to fear the fall more than we desire the flight. The problem isn't that we are bad at love. It's that we have been conditioned for a world where love, in its truest form, cannot survive. But the consequences of this rewiring extend far beyond our romantic failures. This hollowing out of the self, this sanitization of the other, is having an effect on our world in ways we are only just beginning to understand. It is an unseen force, shaping not just our homes, but our societies, our politics, and our very perception of reality itself. This hollowing of the self, this relentless flight from the authentic and the difficult, it does not remain contained within the four walls of your home. It is a contagion, a psychological virus that leaks through the floorboards, seeps into the groundwater, and reshapes the very landscape of our collective reality. The inability to tolerate friction in your relationship becomes an inability to tolerate friction in the world. The private performance you perfect in the morning light becomes the public identity you defend with savage ferocity online. You think you are merely navigating the complexities of modern love, but you are in fact rehearsing the behaviors that are fracturing our world. The trap is first laid in the quiet pathways of your brain. Every time you receive a like on a smiling photo of you and your partner, every time you get a quick, validating text, every time you choose the path of least resistance in a conversation to avoid conflict, your brain receives a small, pleasurable hit of dopamine. It's a reward, a signal that you have done something right. Our modern ecosystem of connection is engineered to provide an endless stream of these cheap, easy rewards. It's a neurological sugar rush. Genuine, resilient, long-term love, however, operates on a far more complex and demanding neurochemistry, a cocktail of oxytocin, vasopressin, and yes, even the stress hormone cortisol. True bonding isn't forged in perpetual bliss, but in the cycle of rupture and repair. It is in the stressful argument that leads to a difficult truth, which then leads to a deeper, more profound intimacy. Our brains are wired for this complex, rewarding work, but we are conditioning them to prefer the quick fix. We are becoming addicts, choosing the immediate comfort of validation over the long-term, soul-shaping power of genuine attachment. We are forgetting the taste of real nourishment, and our minds are slowly starving. This neurological habit feeds a devastating cognitive bias, the confirmation bias, the tendency to favor information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. The algorithms that govern our digital lives have mastered this bias. They learn what we want to see, who we want to be, and they feed us a perfectly curated reflection of our own ego. This creates a filter bubble, an echo chamber where our own perspective is amplified and all dissenting views are silenced. We have applied this same algorithmic logic to our lives. We curate our friends, our news sources, and our partners to ensure they confirm the story we tell about ourselves. This doesn't make our worldview stronger. It makes it exquisitely fragile. A mind that is never challenged doesn't become confident. It becomes brittle. When you are finally confronted with a person or an idea that does not fit into your curated reality, your mind doesn't react with curiosity. It reacts with fear and rage. It perceives difference not as an opportunity for growth, but as an existential threat to its carefully constructed identity. And here is where the private tragedy becomes a public catastrophe. A society composed of individuals with brittle, unchallenged minds cannot function. The muscle of empathy, the ability to feel and understand the perspective of another, atrophies from disuse. Empathy is not a passive virtue. It is an active skill, learned and strengthened only by engaging with difference, with difficulty, with the inconvenient otherness of people who are not like us. If we cannot practice this in our most intimate relationship, how can we be expected to practice it with a political opponent, a person from a different culture, or a neighbor with a different set of beliefs? The result is the world you see now, A world of vicious political polarization, of tribal warfare fought with words and memes. We no longer see adversaries as fellow citizens with whom we disagree. We see them as monstrous, immoral others who must be silenced and defeated. We scream across a digital chasm, unable to comprehend the humanity of the other side, because we have systematically untrained ourselves in the art of doing so in our own homes. Our demand for emotional safety, our desire to be insulated from anything that might challenge us, has ironically created the most dangerous environment of all, one where we are robbed of the resilience needed to face a complex and difficult world. This is the unseen trap. You think you are building a sanctuary, a safe haven of love and comfort. But you are, in fact, constructing a prison. A beautiful, comfortable, well-lit prison made of your own preferences, your own fears, and your own desperate need for validation. It is a cage that protects you from the world, yes, but it also starves you of it. It promises happiness, but delivers only a sterile and shallow contentment. And the most terrifying part, the bars of this cage are not forged from steel, but from your own desires. It's a prison you have built for yourself, and you carry it with you wherever you go. Escaping it feels impossible, like trying to outrun your own shadow. How can you break free from a system when its operating principles are now coded into your very brain chemistry? How do you begin to fight an enemy that has taken up residence behind your own eyes? To do so requires more than a simple decision. It requires a complete and terrifying demolition of the self you thought you knew. To escape a prison whose bars are forged from your own desires, you cannot simply run. You must perform an act of impossible alchemy. You must learn to turn the poison into the cure. The path to freedom does not lie in finding a new partner, a new app, or a new technique for communication. It lies in a radical, terrifying, and utterly liberating shift in perspective. It begins with the demolition of the very idea that has been causing your suffering, the belief that your partner's purpose is to make you happy. They are not here to complete you, to validate you, or to shelter you from the discomfort of existence. Their true, sacred purpose is to reveal you to yourself. The emptiness you feel is not their failure to fill you, but their success in showing you your own void. And this is where your power begins. The first revolutionary act is this: you must stop seeking comfort and start cherishing friction. You must consciously and deliberately learn to love your partner's otherness. That strange, annoying habit they have that grates on your nerves, that political opinion they hold that seems utterly alien to you, that irrational fear or quirky passion that you don't understand. Do not see these as flaws in the system, as bugs to be fixed. See them as sacred portals. They are the cracks in the smooth, performative surface through which you can glimpse a universe that is not your own. Your culture has trained you to seek a mirror, a reflection of your own ego. You must now rebel and seek a window. Actively practice curiosity about the ways they are different. Ask questions not to debate, but to understand. Celebrate their sovereignty. The goal of love is not to fuse two souls into one indistinguishable mass, but for two distinct stars to orbit each other, creating gravitational pull, heat, and light without ever collapsing. This is the great antidote to the hell of the same. It is the art of loving what is not you. This leads to the second act of liberation, the embrace of the void. Our modern world is terrified of uncertainty. We need labels, definitions, 5-year plans. We need to know, what are we, and where is this going? This irritable reaching for certainty, as the poet John Keats called it, is the very thing that kills connection. The antidote is what he called negative capability, the strength to exist in uncertainties, mysteries, and doubts without demanding a resolution. You must let go of the need to know. You must commit not to a predictable outcome, but to the unpredictable process. This is the ultimate vulnerability. It is standing with another person on the edge of a cliff, holding their hand not because you know you are safe, but because you are both willing to face the terrifying, exhilarating vastness of the unknown together. This is not the liquid love of the consumer who fears being tied down. This is the fierce love of the explorer who refuses to be chained to a map. It is a faith placed not in a destination, but in your fellow traveler. With this foundation, the third and most crucial shift can occur. You must stop thinking of love as a feeling you have, and start understanding it as a discipline you practice. It is not a noun, it is a verb. It is a skill, and like any skill, it requires dedication, repetition, and courage. It is the discipline of radical attention, of putting down your phone, turning off the television, and giving the person in front of you the one thing the modern world is designed to steal: your undivided focus. Reclaim your gaze from the digital crowd and bestow it in all its power upon one person. It is the discipline of difficult conversations, of choosing, like Nietzsche's Overman, to move toward the challenge, to say the hard thing with kindness, and to hear the hard thing with grace, knowing that this is the fire that forges real strength. And it is the discipline of forgiveness, the daily, sometimes hourly practice of letting go of small grievances and large hurts, not because they don't matter, but because the continuation of the practice matters more. This is how you break free. You realize you are not a passive victim of cultural forces or neurological wiring. You are an agent, an artist, a practitioner. You have the power to starve the dopamine-addicted parts of your brain and feed the deeper, quieter parts that crave genuine attachment. You can consciously override your confirmation bias. You can choose the difficult, the uncertain, the other. This is not about fixing your relationship. It is an act of personal rebellion. It is the reclamation of your own mind and your own soul from a culture of hollow comfort. By learning to truly connect with one person, you are unlearning the habits that have held you captive. But this practice, this brave and difficult journey of turning inward and facing the other, does more than just mend a broken connection. It leads to a final, shattering realization. A truth so powerful, it rearranges your entire perception of reality, and finally makes sense of the haunting silence you felt in that sunlit room. You have traveled from the quiet dread of a sunlit morning to the heart of the modern condition, and you have been given the tools of rebellion, the practice of embracing otherness, the courage to dwell in uncertainty, the discipline to treat love as a sacred art. But we must ask one final question. Why? Why does this journey feel like a battle against the entire world? What is this immense, invisible resistance we feel when we try to truly connect? The resistance is not coming from the outside. It is not your phone, not the culture, not even your partner's flaws. The uncomfortable truth that lies beneath all the others, the one that, once seen, changes everything, is this. The entire struggle, the performance, the desperate need for validation, has been a frantic effort to protect something that does not exist. The final illusion to be shattered is the self. You are not a solid, continuous, stable entity. The I you have spent your entire life constructing, polishing, and defending is a ghost. It is a story you tell yourself, a collection of memories, habits, and anxieties, stitched together and given a name. We think of ourselves as a statue, a fixed thing that we must protect from the erosion of time and the judgment of others. But we are not a statue. We are a river, a dynamic, ever-changing process of becoming, and this terrifies us. So we build dams, our career, our identity, our beliefs, and most powerfully, our relationships. They are all structures designed to contain the flow, to give us the illusion of a solid, permanent shape. The performative relationship is the grandest dam of all. We use our partner as a mirror, desperately seeking a reflection that tells us, you are real, you are whole, you are someone. Suddenly, it all becomes clear. That anxiety you feel, it is the terror of the ego confronting its own non-existence. The constant need for validation is the ghost's desperate need to believe it is solid. Your frantic curation of a perfect life is an attempt to build a beautiful stage for a play with no actor. And the fear of being alone is not a fear of silence, but the fear that in the silence, you will discover that no one is there. True love, the kind you have been learning to practice, is the ultimate threat to this phantom self. It is an invitation to demolition. It asks you to stop performing, to stop defending, to stop defining. It asks for a surrender so total that the ego cannot survive it. Your partner is not there to be the missing piece that completes the puzzle of you. Your partner is the person with whom you can finally feel safe enough to let the puzzle fall apart. This is the great paradigm shift. The goal is not for two complete selves to meet and admire each other. The goal is for two individuals to create a space of such profound trust that they can both let go of the exhausting, lifelong project of being someone. Intimacy is not found in shared interests or a perfectly synchronized life. It is found in the shared space of dissolution. It is when you can sit with another person in total silence, the masks and costumes discarded on the floor, and feel not an awkward void, but a shared presence in the vast mystery of existence. It is a connection not between two egos, but between two awarenesses, both acknowledging their own beautiful, terrifying groundlessness. It is a shared solitude. This is the peace that was missing from the perfect morning, not the cloying comfort of a validated ego, but the profound, expansive relief of finally setting it down. And so you are left with a choice. It is the only choice that has ever mattered. Look at the life you have built, the love you are performing. You can continue the play. It is a good play, a safe play, and the world will applaud you for it. Or you can make a new and silent vow. You can take the hand of the person next to you, look past the role they are playing, and make a pact to become the sanctuary where each other's phantom self can finally come to rest. To be the one person in the world for whom they do not have to perform. To create a space where you can both be gloriously, courageously, and divinely. Nothing at all. And there, in that shared luminous emptiness, you will not find an escape from the uncomfortable truth. You will become it, and you will finally be free.